The trailer does not waste a single second. From the very first moment, Fallout Season 2, Episode 3 makes one thing absolutely clear. The world is about to change forever, and no one is safe anymore. Every shot, every line of dialogue, and every moment of silence feels heavy, as if the series itself is warning us that the calm before the storm is officially over. This trailer is not just exciting, it is terrifying, because it confirms what Episode 2 only hinted at. The Brotherhood is moving toward war. Lucy's life is hanging by a thread, and the balance of power in the wasteland is about to collapse in ways we did not fully expect. The Fallout Season 2 Episode 3 trailer feels like a direct continuation of the chaos we were left with at the end of Episode 2. One of the strongest things about this trailer is how it immediately raises the stakes without explaining too much. We see tension everywhere, in the way characters look at each other, in the way weapons are held, and in the silence between explosions. The Brotherhood no longer feels like a disciplined organization with a clear mission. Instead, it feels divided, unstable, and dangerously confident. The idea of a civil war is no longer just a theory. The trailer strongly suggests that the Brotherhood is ready to force its vision onto the world, no matter the cost. Cold fusion is no longer just a resource, it is a weapon, a tool of control, and the reason smaller communities may soon be dragged into a conflict they never asked for. What makes this even more unsettling is how comfortable some characters seem with this reality. There is no hesitation anymore, only preparation. Lucy's situation is easily one of the most stressful parts of the trailer. Even though she barely appears for a few moments, her presence is felt throughout. The way the trailer frames her danger makes it clear that Episode 3 will test her more than ever before. She is no longer just surviving the wasteland. She is being hunted, trapped, and judged by forces far stronger than her. What hurts the most is knowing that her current situation is the direct result of her kindness. Just like in Episode 2, Lucy's biggest strength is also her biggest weakness. The trailer reminds us that the wasteland does not reward mercy, and Lucy may finally be forced to make choices that go against who she truly is. The fear in her eyes is no longer fear of the unknown, but fear of what she might have to become to survive. At the same time, the trailer quietly builds tension around the Ghoul. His absence is loud, and that is what makes it so effective. We know he is injured, we know he was left behind, but the trailer drops subtle hints that his story is far from over. There is a feeling that he is gathering strength, both physically and emotionally. The connection between him and Lucy feels stronger than ever, even when they are apart. The trailer seems to suggest that his next actions will not just be about survival, but about purpose. If he does return, it will not be as someone running from the past, but as someone ready to face it head-on. What truly makes this trailer insane is how it balances action with emotional weight. Explosions and battles are everywhere, but they never feel empty. Every moment of violence feels like it has consequences. The wasteland looks more alive, but also more cruel. Episode 3 does not look like a simple continuation of the story. It feels like a turning point, the moment where characters stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. And once that happens, there is no going back. One of the most disturbing and fascinating parts of the Fallout Season 2 Episode 3 trailer is how it fully embraces Maximus's transformation, not as a sudden twist, but as something that now feels inevitable. The trailer makes it very clear that Maximus is no longer standing at a crossroads. He has already taken several steps down a dark path, and Episode 3 looks like the moment where he truly commits to it. The respect, fear, and authority he now commands inside the Brotherhood are shown as intoxicating, and that is what makes his arc so dangerous. This is no longer a man simply trying to restore the world or avenge his past. This is someone who believes he deserves power, and worse, believes he knows how to use it better than anyone else. The trailer shows Maximus moving with confidence, speaking with certainty, and acting without hesitation. These are not the traits of a conflicted hero. These are the traits of someone who has started to justify every action as necessary, no matter how cruel it may be. The Brotherhood itself feels almost unrecognizable in this trailer. In earlier episodes, there was still a sense of order, rules, and structure. Now, what we see is ambition overpowering morality. The trailer strongly hints that the Brotherhood's goal is no longer protection or preservation, but domination. By controlling cold fusion and deciding who deserves access to power and survival, they are essentially deciding who gets to exist. This is what makes the idea of a civil war so terrifying. It will not just be a battle between armies, it will be a battle over resources, ideology, and control of the future. Smaller communities are no longer neutral, they are pawns, and once the Brotherhood begins its campaign, there will be no safe place left in the wasteland. Xander's introduction becomes even more important in this context. The trailer presents him not just as a new character, but as an enabler. He represents the next phase of the Brotherhood's violence. With a war pilot at their side, destruction becomes easier, faster, and more distant. Bombing a city no longer requires facing its people. It becomes a decision made from above, detached and efficient. This distance from the consequences is what could fully push Maximus over the edge. The trailer gives the impression that Xander and Maximus together are an extremely dangerous combination. One brings experience and firepower, the other brings belief and authority. And when belief meets the ability to destroy without seeing the aftermath, history shows us that nothing good comes from it. By the end of the trailer, it feels clear that Episode 3 will not be about setting things up anymore. It will be about consequences. The Brotherhood's first major act of war will likely define how the rest of the world sees them. Maximus's decisions will likely determine whether he becomes a savior, a tyrant, or something far worse. And once the bombs fall, there will be no undoing the damage. The wasteland will remember who started this war, and history will not be kind to those who believed power alone could fix a broken world. While the Brotherhood and Maximus dominate the trailer with open displays of power and destruction, the most unsettling tension in Fallout Season 2, Episode 3 comes from the quieter, more personal threats building in the background. One of the most important of these is Hank. The trailer doesn't need to show him constantly to remind us how dangerous he is. His presence is felt through implication, through the consequences of his actions, and through the fear he represents. What makes Hank terrifying is not raw strength or armies, but intelligence mixed with a complete lack of empathy. The trailer strongly suggests that Hank has not only continued his experiments with the mind control device, but that he's refining them. This is a critical development because it means Hank is learning from his mistakes. A villain who improves is far more dangerous than one who simply repeats the same cruelty. If Hank figures out how to control people without killing them, the balance of power in the wasteland could shift instantly and quietly. The trailer hints that Hank's role in Episode 3 will expand beyond experimentation. There is a feeling that he is preparing something larger, something that goes beyond individual tests. Mind control in the Fallout world is not just a tool of obedience, it's a way to erase identity, and that is what makes Hank's actions so disturbing. He doesn't just want control over bodies, he wants control over choices. If successful, Hank could create loyal servants who don't even realize they have been stripped of free will. This raises terrifying questions about how many people in the wasteland may already be influenced without knowing it. Episode 3 could be the moment where we realize that some alliances, some betrayals, and some acts of violence were never truly voluntary. And once that realization hits, trust becomes impossible. At the same time, the trailer quietly builds tension around Norm outside the vault. This is where intelligence becomes a weapon rather than a shield. Norm is not physically strong, and he's not trained for the wasteland. What he has is the ability to read people, to manipulate situations, and to adapt quickly. The trailer shows him observing more than acting, learning before striking. This is a dangerous strength in a world filled with brute force. However, the trailer also makes it clear that the outside world is far more chaotic than anything Norm has ever faced. Inside the vault, systems were predictable. People followed routines. Outside, nothing is stable. Trust is temporary, and survival often requires moral compromise. There's a strong sense in the trailer that Norm's intelligence might put him in situations he's not emotionally prepared for. Manipulating people who have slept for 200 years is one thing. Manipulating hardened survivors who have lost everything is another. Episode 3 feels like it will test whether Norm's cleverness is enough or whether it will backfire in ways he cannot control. The Wasteland does not forgive mistakes easily, and even small miscalculations can be fatal. The trailer suggests that Norm may soon realize that being the smartest person in the room does not guarantee safety when everyone else is desperate. What makes this section of the story so compelling is how it contrasts different forms of power. Hank uses technology and cruelty. Maximus uses authority and force. Norm uses intelligence and manipulation. Lucy uses empathy and morality. Episode 3 feels like the point where these forms of power begin to collide directly. The trailer suggests that no single approach is enough on its own. Intelligence without strength can fail. Strength without morality can corrupt. Technology without restraint can destroy everything. This is what gives the episode its emotional weight. It's not just about who survives, but what kind of person survives. The trailer also hints that the world outside the vault is far more interconnected than it appears. The most emotionally intense thread hinted at in the Fallout Season 2 Episode 3 trailer is without question Lucy's struggle. Because unlike the large-scale destruction teased elsewhere, her danger feels immediate, personal, and deeply unfair. The trailer frames Lucy not as a warrior, but as someone caught in a system that punishes compassion. From what we are shown, Episode 3 will push Lucy to a breaking point she has never faced before. She is no longer traveling freely through the wasteland or making choices on her own terms. She is contained, watched, and evaluated by people who see her not as a person, but as a problem to be solved or a resource to be exploited. This loss of agency is what makes her situation so frightening. Physical danger can sometimes be escaped, but psychological control is much harder to fight, especially for someone whose identity is built on honesty and trust. The trailer strongly suggests that Lucy's kindness, the very thing that defines her, is now being used against her. She is surrounded by people who understand weakness and fear far better than empathy. In the Wasteland, showing mercy is often seen as an invitation to be controlled, and Episode 3 looks like it will force Lucy to confront that reality directly. There is a sense that she will be giving impossible choices, situations where doing the right thing could cost her life, and doing the wrong thing could cost her soul. The tension here does not come from action, but from anticipation. We are made to wonder how many lines Lucy is willing to cross to survive, and whether crossing those lines will change her forever. Running parallel to Lucy's struggle is the quiet but powerful buildup surrounding the Ghoul. The trailer treats his recovery almost like a ticking clock. We know he is injured, isolated, and running out of time, yet there is also a sense of determination that has not existed before. The Ghoul has always survived by keeping distance, by avoiding emotional attachments, and by focusing only on himself. Episode 3 looks like it may finally challenge that survival strategy. Lucy is no longer just someone he traveled with. She has become a reminder of who he used to be, and possibly of the daughter he lost. The trailer hints that saving Lucy may not just be an act of kindness, but an act of redemption. What makes the Ghoul's potential return so compelling is that it would be driven by choice rather than necessity. He does not need to save Lucy to survive. He wants to. And in the Fallout world, wanting something other than survival is dangerous. The trailer suggests that the Ghoul will have to fight not only enemies, but his own instincts. Helping Lucy means exposing himself, trusting others, and risking everything he has managed to hold on to for decades. Episode 3 could be the moment where he stops running from his past and instead uses it as fuel. There is also an underlying fear that the Ghoul may not arrive in time. The trailer carefully avoids confirming any reunion, which keeps the tension high. Lucy's fate is left uncertain on purpose. This uncertainty forces us to consider another possibility, one that is far more unsettling. Lucy may have to save herself, and if that happens, it could fundamentally change her character. Being forced to take a life, to betray someone's trust, or to abandon her moral code would mark a permanent shift in who she is. Episode 3 may be the moment where Lucy stops being protected by hope and starts being shaped by trauma. The emotional weight of this storyline is what grounds the larger conflicts of the episode. While wars are being planned and weapons are being prepared, Lucy's struggle reminds us what all of this destruction actually costs. Every decision made by people like Maximus or Hank eventually lands on someone like Lucy, someone who did not ask for power, control, or domination, but is forced to live with the consequences anyway. The trailer makes it painfully clear that Episode 3 will not offer easy victories or clean escapes. Survival will come with a price, and not everyone will be able to pay it without losing a part of themselves. By the end of the trailer, Lucy's story feels like the emotional center of the season. No matter how large the battles become, her fate is what truly matters. Episode 3 appears ready to test whether goodness can survive in a world that actively tries to destroy it, and whether holding on to hope is an act of courage or a fatal mistake. As the Fallout Season 2 Episode 3 trailer comes to an end, it leaves behind a feeling that is heavier than excitement and deeper than fear. It feels like inevitability. Everything shown in the trailer points toward a world that is rapidly approaching a point of no return. Episode 3 does not look like an episode that asks questions, it looks like one that delivers answers, and those answers may not be comforting. The wasteland is no longer a place where characters can wander and react to events as they happen. It has become a battlefield, shaped by decisions, ambition, and unresolved trauma. And once these forces collide, the Fallout world will never be the same again. The idea that the Brotherhood is officially moving toward war changes the entire direction of the story. This is no longer about isolated conflicts or personal survival. This is about power on a massive scale. When an organization like the Brotherhood decides it has the right to rule, every life outside its ranks becomes expendable. Episode 3 feels like the moment where that ideology stops being theoretical and starts becoming visible through destruction. Cities, communities, and families who have managed to survive the wasteland will now face an enemy that does not see them as people, but as obstacles to be cleared. The trailer suggests that the first major strike will be symbolic, meant to send a message, and that message will be clear: submit or be erased. Standing at the center of this transformation is Maximus, and that is what makes his arc so tragic. The trailer frames him as both a product of the wasteland and one of its greatest threats. His pain, his loss, and his desire to restore the world are understandable, but Episode 3 appears ready to show how easily noble intentions can become excuses for cruelty. If Maximus participates in this war, even with doubts in his heart, the damage will have already been done. The weight of command, the thrill of victory, and the silence of those who benefit from his actions may slowly erase the person he once was. And if he does eventually try to turn away from the Brotherhood,